What are you doing?
I'm celebrating.
You're eating uncooked pasta. How is that celebrating?
Because I bought a Harley Davidson.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. No, really. It's right here.
That does not look like a Harley Davidson.
No. I'll put on some ape hangers, put a sissy bar on back. It'll be perfect.
No, it won't.
No, this is the Harley Davidson of Italy.
Sure, I'm sure it is.
Okay, whatever. This is the 2013 Moto Guzzi V7 Stone. This is a real sweet looking bike. I love those cylinders sticking out from the sides. I like the shape of the gas tank, even though it is kind of retro styled. All the chrome makes this a beautiful looking classic Italian motorcycle. Not the classic motorcycle that I'm used to. I'm more into the Japanese look. But still, this Moto Guzzi in this shape has been around for a very long time. This one has a 740cc capacity engine with about 50 horsepower. I like the dual exhaust coming off the rear. I even like the bluing on the exhaust pipes. This L-twin engine sticks out to the side. Again, fairly unique in the motorcycle world. The gauge cluster has something to be desired. I do like the fact that they are analog, but at a glance, the speedometer and your tachometer look very similar up front. Also, it does present a bit of clutter in your view as you're riding down the road. One of the nice things about a naked motorcycle is that there's nothing in front of you. Well, with that gauge in front of you, it's a little too far forward, so it is in your field of view. Let's start her up and hear that V-twin spring to life. You probably saw how much the bike rocked when I started it up. When you twist the throttle, the actual bike rotates as well. It's pretty unique. Wants to head off to the right-hand side there. So, probably don't want to give it too much throttle with that kickstand down. One of the unfortunate things, this clutch is a little bit difficult to pull with two fingers. So you kind of have to forefinger it, which makes my riding style a little bit different than I'm used to. I wish that clutch was just a little easier to pull. All right, she should be all warmed up now. Let's crank it into first. Get this thing going. False first. Let's go again. There we go. Okay. It's a great sounding motor. Reminds me a little bit about a Ducati 748 that I used to own, also an L-twin. This motorcycle has a shaft drive as opposed to a chain drive. I'm not sure which way I like it better, honestly. I kind of like the idea of seeing the chain. Of course, a chain failure can be quite catastrophic. While as a shaft failure, well, it could lock up your rear tire, but at least it's not going to whip you like a chain would. A lot less maintenance, but more difficult to maintain shaft drive than chain drive. Pull out of the neighborhood. Let's go for the highway section here. Get up to speed. Around this highway, I'm giving it a little bit of goose here. Plenty of power. 50 horsepower is a quite capable amount. It's about half of what my Ducati 748 had. But again, you know, 748 versus 744cc, what you're really lacking is the higher RPM. So you could wrap that Ducati up to about 11,000 RPM, while this thing will only go to about to 7,000. I really miss those upper RPMs. That's when the engine really gets to sing on these twins. And I feel like I'm short shifting as I'm accelerating. I'll run up to the rev limiter and let you see what that is like here. So 5, 6, 7, boom. Hit the rev lever coming up here again. And again, rev limiter. That's sucky. I always like to play with the engine, and one of the
beauties is to sit there and just, especially with a 4-stroke engine, you know, start at low RPMs and just climb. Just as a feeling of exhilaration, feeling of freedom. Don't quite get this with this this here motorcycle. So I'm kind of wondering, you know, what type of individual wants to buy a Moto Guzzi like this. And I'm thinking someone who's coming off of maybe a BMW Boxer but wants a little Italian flair, maybe a GS, maybe not. I guess if you're gonna spend that much coin on a motorcycle like a GS, you might opt for something a little bit bigger. The other type, maybe, you know, I bought it. Former Ducati owner, love the sound of those L twins. Of course, different orientation. I think perhaps lazy riding is kind of what this bike's about, because it does have quite a bit of torque low down. Looks like we got a little road construction ahead of us. You know, that's the thing, this kickstand, not sure if you can see it, but it's kind of hard. Usually with kickstands, you kind of go straight out. With this, you rotate it. So it's got quite the pivot action. So the first time you get on one, you try to stomp down on that to try to make it go. It's not going to go. So you grab it with your heel and just kind of pivot it around. There's a 5-speed. I don't know. 5 is a bad number for me. You're not really counting, so you always think that there's a 6th. With 4, you count. With 6, you know to count. So I don't know. I do a lot of 5th gear to fake 6th gear shifting, just to know where I'm at. Has a really mushy 1st gear, so when you drop down, it feels squished, you know? It doesn't have that real positive feel. Feels more like a rubber band getting in there. So you can see I did do a false 1st gear earlier. Neutral light turned off, but 1st gear wasn't engaged. Could be an Italian thing. He's sitting here for a while. Yeah, typical. All right, we're going this way. Yeah, better. With all the gear, you get kind of warm sitting. Motorcycles are definitely meant to ride, not sit. Oh yeah, that's better. This little sweeper along the high school here. So let's see where this thing gets happy here. I'm going to drop down to about 2,500 RPM, which is too low here. But you still have pretty tractable power. I think it really feels happy when you get to about 4,000 RPM. And then on up to 7,000, it feels pretty fine. Do you like that live feeling? All right, back up to speed. Not sure how accurate this speedometer is, so just a quick check. I have an indicated 60 right now. I'm guessing that's going to be close to the 55 speed limit here on this back road. I have no idea. Am I in 5th gear? Am I in 4th gear? Let's see. I'm at 3,700 RPM, 60 miles an hour. Yep. Same. Okay. So I was on 5th gear. It's definitely stable. It feels planted. It's got a good, solid feeling suspension, not pogo sticky at all. Hopefully you can see how that dashboard kind of, or gauge cluster kind of stands out in your field of view. I wish it were about 6 inches closer in. Whole point of a naked bike again, is to feel like you are just flying through the air, nothing in front of you. I've owned this bike now for probably about 9 months. I've only ridden it a dozen times, and each time I ride it, I get a little less excited about the motorcycle, and that's the opposite direction you want to see when you've got an expensive motorcycle like this. I haven't figured out what niche I want to put it in, right? Because even though it's classic styling for Moto Guzzi, it is not classic styling in my own head. It doesn't really give that retro vibe. It's certainly not a bike you'd want to race or go off-road with. It's a little too heavy for going off-road, even if you wanted to try to scramblerize it, put some aggressive tires, try to lighten it down. Weighs 436 pounds dry, I believe, which is the same as a Ducati 748 again, but not a purpose-built machine for racing. Yeah, so you try to place it. It's like, well, it doesn't really, it's not a show bike, right? It doesn't draw a whole lot of attention to you. It doesn't, I don't know, I'm just not connecting with it. Some bikes, you know, you just feel like you sit on it, it's you're in love, right? This bike has never done that for me. And it feels like it could almost be a lot of things, but it doesn't quite get there. I guess with a motorcycle, maybe I don't want to do it all motorcycle, because I haven't yet found a do-it-all motorcycle. One that feels really sporty in the corners, one that feels amazing off-road, one that feels great just tinkering along the road here at lower RPMs, kind of trundling along, enjoying the scenery. And, you know, from a passenger standpoint, my wife found the seat a little bit hard, not very comfortable for long distance trips either. So I think it's a motorcycle just to have a motorcycle, and unfortunately for me, having a motorcycle isn't for transportation anymore. Having a motorcycle is purely for enjoyment, and you know, I think something more specialized is going to connect with me a little bit more. Even a pure classic. You know, I bought a Yamaha SR400 recently. Love that thing. I'll give a full review later on. And you know, the difference is kind of night and day. Just, you know, the feeling of an old classic motorcycle, I don't really get it with this. I'll tell you what this feels like. Okay, just riding down the road here. It feels heavy, a little bit ponderous, doesn't want to change direction very quickly. Of course, I'm used to lighter motorcycles. I don't want to go on a dirt road, see where it goes. I just kind of want to follow the road. I don't really feel like trying to do a U-turn on a tight road like this with it. I'm sure I could. If you're going to hop on a motorcycle, you want to ride it. And after the first 40 minutes or 30 minutes, you're kind of like, okay, well, that was fun, kind of done. Let's go park it and let's jump on that brand new Aprilia RS125 that I have. Yeah, then you know it's probably time to move on. The romance is over. The honeymoon has passed, and go find something new and shiny, I guess. Those of you who own a Moto Guzzi V7 Stone from this era, 2013, maybe the 2010s through 2017, what are your thoughts? I'm sure you'll have differing opinions. You may think this is the best bike since motorcycles were invented. I'm just not there at this point.
Even though this isn't the right motorcycle for me, I've really enjoyed the ownership experience. Thank you so much for experiencing this Moto Guzzi with me. I'll see you next time.